Today's episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, is the perfect place to stock up on all the legal California marijuana products that you need. From good old-fashioned flower to high-end concentrates, edibles, topicals, CBD pet products, and more. With orders taking just minutes to place and deliveries coming in less than an hour, it couldn't be easier to get your hands on legal California marijuana products that have been properly tested, packaged, and labeled. If you like getting what you pay for, you're going to love being a customer of Ease. And once you have your order in at ease.com, you can swing over to ease.com/home to read through all the valuable bits of industry insight and analysis the Ease team has developed using smart polling and their properly aggregated and anonymized sales data stream. One more time, thanks again to everyone over at ease.com for supporting today's news. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, September 10th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 567 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day starts us off in New York City, where on Friday, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez held a press conference to announce a new policy change that would automatically vacate just under 3,500 open marijuana arrest warrants, while also encouraging thousands of people with past nonviolent cannabis charges on their record to apply to have them vacated and dismissed. Both Brooklyn and Manhattan stopped prosecuting people for low-level marijuana charges earlier this year. During his press conference on Friday, District Attorney Gonzalez said, quote, "To fail to address these past convictions would be hypocritical and would turn a blind eye to all the harm caused by marijuana enforcement in prior years," unquote. The Canadian military has issued guidelines for how soldiers are to use and mostly not use legal marijuana as the country heads towards nationwide adult use legalization next month. At its most lenient level, members of the Canadian military will be banned from consuming marijuana within 8 hours of being on duty and during the work day. Soldiers who handle live weaponry will have that ban extended to 24 hours, and those in certain jobs designated as safety sensitive will have to have a full 28 days of non-use under their belts ahead of reporting for duty. Currently, the Canadian military only routinely drug tests soldiers in those so-called safety-sensitive positions and only pulls out testing for others on an as-needed basis. That policy will continue, according to General Jonathan Vance, head of the Canadian military. Our final top story this fine Monday is a new study out of the NYU School of Medicine that finds that the number of cannabis users between the ages of 50 to 64 inclusive had doubled in the last 10 years or so. According to that study, 9% of poll respondents in that age range say they use marijuana, which is double from the levels in 2006. The popularity of medical marijuana and the dissolving social stigma around cannabis use in general were cited as factors in that growth. I think one of the big points on the study is that 91% of people ages 50 to 64 haven't yet gotten to experience the positive benefits of medical cannabis use. Not a bad one to swing over for the full read and the click through to the original study. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Even though the calendar has turned over to September and most of the kids are back in school, it's still officially summer for the next week or so. Make the most of these last remaining days of the season by letting Ease help bring you properly tested, packaged, and labeled California marijuana products. Ease only works with the top dispensaries in their active areas, so you know you're always in for a good customer experience when you fire up ease.com. You can find out quickly if you live in a part of California where Ease is active, and then if you do and it's during legal delivery hours, you could be less than an hour away from taking delivery. One more time, for easy California legal marijuana delivery, you just need to open up ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for the support that makes today's news possible. All right, time for the blitz. The internet collectively blew up at the end of last week after SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk took a hit of a blunt on Joe Rogan's popular podcast, which is broadcast live on YouTube in addition to going out in traditional podcast form. That's some news in itself, as generally big CEOs of public companies don't smoke cannabis in public. Never mind one of Mr. Musk's notability. One of the storylines that spun out of this one were rumors that the U.S. Air Force had launched an investigation into Musk for using cannabis as a way to void some of its contracts with SpaceX. The Hill is reporting that that rumor is just that, a rumor. An Air Force spokesman told The Verge that the military branch was not currently investigating the blunt hits, but did say, quote, "We'll need time to determine the facts and the appropriate process to handle the situation," unquote. So we may be back with a future report on this one. Tesla stock did drop quite a bit following Musk's appearance on Rogan's podcast, but that also had to do with some announced shakeups at the executive level within the company. In California, a cannabis bill was recently passed out of the state legislature and signed into law that will eliminate penalties levied against businesses for paying state taxes in cash. With business banking services being so hard to come by for legal marijuana companies, most have been forced to pay their taxes, bills, and even payroll in cash. That obviously sets up an unfair situation for the legal cannabis industry when the state then hits cannabis companies with a penalty for paying in the only way open to them. Assembly Bill 1741 nicely clears that all up by removing the penalty. Anchorage Daily News has a great story up diving into Alaska's legal marijuana market and its current focus and obsession with the reported THC percentage for cannabis strains sold in dispensaries. As the story has it, there's a huge incentive for Alaskan cannabis to be reported back as having higher levels of THC, as the price difference between cannabis with 14% THC and 20% being around $6 to $8 per gram. This has created a market where there's very little incentive for any sub 20% THC strands, with additional pressure being generated in the testing side between cultivators and testing labs, who have strong economic incentives to report back the highest results possible. Not a bad one to read in full. On Friday, Congressman Earl Blumenauer of Oregon, a Democrat, and David Joyce of Ohio, a Republican, spoke at a cannabis conference in Washington, D.C., and predicted that the federal government will pass legislation freeing up states to fully experiment with legal cannabis. Just not this year. The two congressmen predicted that the vehicle for that reform would come in the States Act, a bill introduced this summer by New Jersey Senator Cory Booker to finally unshackle federal restrictions on state legal cannabis, and that it would likely be in the next congressional session, even if Democrats aren't able to take back control of Congress in November. California-based marijuana company MedMen announced at the end of last week that they had closed on a previously announced $53 million acquisition deal that will firmly place them within Florida's medical marijuana industry. MedMen scooped up as part of the deal Treadwell Nurseries, which holds licensing allowing it to open up 30 dispensaries as well as cultivation and processing operations. The deal was a cash and stock split with just over 8.5 million shares of MedMen stock being thrown in with half cash. The Massachusetts-based lab equipment manufacturer Thermo Fisher Scientific said it's developing and releasing products for use in legal marijuana testing and analysis in Canada. The company will develop both equipment and processes and procedures for lab testing cannabis and will initially target the Canadian market. And finally for today, we end the day on a bit of a lighter note, as our buddy Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moments picked up on a video of President Barack Obama, maybe, just maybe, admitting to getting kicked out of Disneyland for smoking marijuana in gondolas with his buddies as a teenager. President Obama was filmed during a speech at a rally for Democratic congressional candidates and insisted that his booting from the park when he was younger was for smoking cigarettes, though it could be argued that he did it with a bit of a sly wink wink nod nod. Swing over to Marijuana Moment to see the video for yourself. Frankly, it was just nice to be reminded for even the briefest of moments of having a president who wasn't a traitor criminal and a rapist and an idiot bumbling wannabe dictator incapable of pronouncing the word anonymous. Anonymous. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJ Today Daily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.